Get ready, NASCAR fans, because Tony Stewart just dropped a bombshell about his thoughts on the sport. In a recent interview, the racing legend revealed his startling fear of NASCAR and why he's been keeping his mouth shut. But that's not all. Stewart also expressed his opinions regarding Kyle Larson's reaction in Las Vegas when Bubba Wallace pushed him many times. Stay tuned to NASCAR Zone till the end as we find out what Tony Stewart really thinks and why he's not afraid to say what's on his mind. But before we dive into that, do subscribe to our channel and hit the like button. Tony Stewart has always been regarded as a talented driver who could achieve success regardless of the sort of vehicle he was strapped into. It is possible to say the same thing about Kyle Larson. Both have been very vocal about how much they respect and admire one another. The three-time Cup Series champion was compared to the Hendrick Motorsports driver during an appearance on the Dale Jr. Download this week. It was pointed out that the NASCAR Hall of Famer never backed down from a battle, whereas the 2021 champion has never even been in one. And at that point, the seasoned racer sat down with Bubba Wallace to share his reflections on the events that transpired in Las Vegas. During their conversation, the veteran detailed how he would have responded to the situation, as well as a strategy for better preparing the young racer for future conflicts. Tony Stewart's resume is strong. He has won 3 Cup Series championships, an IndyCar title, an IROS championship, and 4 USAC titles, including the 1995 Triple Crown Midget, Sprint, and Silver Crown. Despite all of these achievements, Stewart's comments on the HNS driver following the season finale of the 2021 NASCAR season in Phoenix startled many people. "Congratulations to the best race car driver I've ever seen." At Kyle Larson Racing, Stewart tweeted. Larson was notified about Stewart's tweet at the post-race media session, at which time she responded to it.
Today's been really cool. To now hear you say that, and I did an interview with NBC before the race started, Mario Andretti. I got to hear him talk about his thoughts on me, and now Tony Stewart, probably the one driver, if I had to pick, if I really had a true racing hero, I would say it's Tony Stewart. So, who I've always believed to be the best race car driver ever. So that means a lot to me, and it's just, I try to model my racing and my schedule off what I feel like Tony Stewart would do. So that makes me feel really good.
On Dale Earnhardt Jr.'s podcast this week, Tony Stewart and Dale Earnhardt Jr. talked about Kyle Larson's ability to be successful in different types of racing. Then, show co-host Mike Davis brought up a time in the early 2000s when Stewart did something similar, racing in the modifieds or late models during the middle of the week. During that time, he won a couple of races and got into a fight. The co-owner of Stewart Haas Racing stated that living such a life was the ultimate life and recognized that this is one area in which he and Larson are extremely dissimilar to one another, dealing with conflict.
Kyle's not a fighter. I texted Kyle after the Bubba incident at Las Vegas, and I was like, listen, I understand him pushing you once, but the second time he did it, that's enough. And the third time he pushed you, that I'd have laid his ass out.
Yeah, you would.
I said, what are you doing? He goes, man, I've never been in a fight in my life, and I didn't want to get my ass kicked in front of all these people.
Yeah.
It's like, I get it. All right. We're going to teach you how to fight, though, bud.
Even though Stewart was kidding and won't be teaching Larson any lessons on fighting, Smoke was the only one in the garage who knew what to do when there was a battle on their hands. In the course of his career, he has faced a wide variety of rivals, not all of whom have been competitors. In the years 2000 and 2001, he was involved in a couple of altercations with Jeff Gordon, who was Larson's HNS employer. He was involved in an argument with a photographer at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway in 2002. In 2004, he punched Brian Vickers after reaching through the window net and engaging him in combat. Let's fast forward to Bristol in 2012, where the infamous helmet toss with Matt Kenseth took place. A year later, after the race at Auto Club Speedway, Stewart confronted Joey Logano. These are but a few of the many examples. What are your thoughts on Tony Stewart's comments on Bubba Wallace and Kyle Larson? Let us know in the comments section below. Be sure to hit the bell button and subscribe to our channel to get the latest updates. Why is Tony Stewart afraid of NASCAR lately? Tony Stewart made numerous trips to the NASCAR transporter during his racing career for a variety of reasons. Some of those trips were because the driver shared his view, and sometimes made critical comments about the governing body. That is how it was. Even now, the individual who is already inducted into the NASCAR Hall of Fame maintains strong beliefs regarding the sport. However, this week during a visit with Kenny Wallace, the Stewart-Haas Racing co-owner candidly confessed that he is now scared to share any opinions or criticism of the sanctioning body out of fear that his organization will suffer the consequences. When looking back on his career, Tony Stewart was given a number of different fines. The last one happened in 2016, the driver's final season, when he criticized NASCAR for allowing drivers to leave the pit road with loose lug nuts. The sanctioning body imposed a fine in the amount of $35,000. Stewart expressed his displeasure with the punishment by telling NBC Sports, "I'm beyond mad. To be honest, I'm PO'd at NASCAR about it. Despite all of the work and everything else, all of the bulletins, all of the new stuff we have to do to superspeedway cars, and all of these other things they want us to do for safety, we can't even make sure that we put 5 lug nuts on the wheel." Interestingly, less than a week after Stewart's comments, NASCAR sent a letter to crew chiefs and changed the rule. This week, the 3-time Cup Series champion paid a visit to the YouTube channel of the former driver Kenny Wallace, where the two of them discussed a variety of topics related to the sport of auto racing.
Tech inspection with these new next-gen cars and the penalties. What's your opinion on this? I don't want you to get in trouble.
The bad thing is I have an opinion about it. I have a very strong opinion about it. And I said this at Bristol when, we were down with Chris Myers and Clint and I were doing the pre-race show, and it was discussed about, the Hendrick saga of getting penalized and losing points and crew chiefs suspended, and then they win the appeal. And then the next week, 2 more cars go back and a windshield screw gets cut off, and they lose all these points again for a windshield screw that got cut off. So, this is the part that I really hate about the sport right now. And this is what frustrates me about NASCAR right now is, I do have an opinion. I have a very strong opinion about how they're doing things. But if I say something, then it's going to cost me money. It's going to cost me points. Yep. It's going to hurt my drivers. It's going to hurt my organization. And so as much as I have an opinion, I'm scared to voice it because NASCAR has shown now you can't have an opinion. You can have an opinion, but keep your mouth shut is basically the moral of the story.
SHR was hit hard in 2022. The bad news for Stewart is that he's speaking from personal experience. Last year, he saw how harsh NASCAR could be when Kevin Harvick criticized the governing body over safety worries with the next-gen cars. He said things like crappy parts after his car caught fire at Darlington in September. At the beginning of October, the number 4 car made its way back to the R&D department for an even more in-depth examination. Several days later, NASCAR revealed a major penalty. Crew chief Rodney Childers would be banned from 4 races, fined $100,000, and both the driver and the team would lose 100 points for changing body parts that were provided by a vendor. In light of NASCAR's recent admission that the cars chosen for additional inspection back to the R&D center are not chosen at random as was previously assumed, it is now abundantly clear what transpired with the SHR team the previous year. And this is precisely why Stewart is reluctant to speak his mind about anything. So that is for today. Hope you enjoyed it. Tell us in the comments what you think about the video. And don't forget to subscribe to our channel to see more of our videos on NASCAR updates. Look forward to seeing you in the next video.